right. Welcome to Romera Records podcast. Today we have on Matt Qualls. How's it going?
Good, man. Thank you for having me. This is a joy and a pleasure, no doubt.
Awesome. Yeah, finally got you on.
I know, man. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I've been really, really busy with the new studio and stuff, and it's time consuming being a one-man show over there.
Yeah.
I mean, Zoe is obviously helping out too a lot, but I'm pretty much coordinating a lot of the stuff at this point too. But we'll get there eventually to where it's a little bit more structured and organized. Because right now, it's just like kind of who's in my network really.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm not really like out there with a website and promoting and stuff. So.
Oh, okay.
But even that is like been busy enough, so it's kind of difficult to stay on top of all the stuff as just one person.
Yeah.
So
You were at Sun like full time before, or you were at where?
No. I've never worked. I've never been on staff at Sun.
Okay.
I've only worked at Sun as like a freelance kind of guy, like Crockett Hall, who is the main engineer there at Sun.
Yeah.
He basically roped me in once he became the main engineer.
Oh.
To help him on sessions, and we like completely like from square one redid the room in there, and I don't think since then it's been really changed up much. But there's a couple things in there that we could improve upon. But I've been helping him, with a lot of the technical stuff at that studio, and then like anytime there's ever like a lot of people coming in, he'll throw me the session to come in and help him out and assist him. Like there was a session we did with Reverend Peyton and his big damn band. They're like this bluegrass kind of Americana country band from, I believe, North Carolina or somewhere up there. And Steve Cropper came in on that and played. And so he was like, you should definitely be here for that. And it was pretty funny, like when Steve Cropper asked to have his guitar solo edited, he was like, yeah, can you fly this part over here and blah, 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 blah. And everybody just kind of like looked over at me slowly. I was like, oh shit, I guess I'm about to chop up Steve Cropper's guitar solo.
That's wild.
And the first time I did it, I fucked it up. And he was like, no, that's not it. And I was like, all right, let me start over. And I did it again. He was like, that's perfect.
Nice.
So, but Sun's amazing, man. But I've worked at, I've always been freelance.
Okay.
I've always come from a DIY place. I've never specifically like I have been on staff at Young Avenue Sound for 3 years when I moved back to Memphis. But beyond that, I haven't been on staff in any studios. But I've worked at Ardent, I've worked at Sun, I've worked at Sam Phillips, I've worked at Young Ave, and then now Doug Easley's studio. I've worked at Memphis Magnetic. I think that's about it in Memphis. And then I've worked a couple other studios around the country too.
Now, are you from here?
Yeah, born and raised. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I moved away in 2015.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I was like really getting my wheels going at Ardent, and then I moved away with an ex-girlfriend to California. And when I was living out there, I got roped into a studio situation with this guy named Sam Pura, who was a friend of mine from my touring days back in the day, and I worked for him for like a couple months. And then I worked for a guy in LA for a while, and then ultimately left California and moved to New Mexico because it was just too expensive to stay there.
Yeah.
Like the amount of money you need to make to live in San Francisco is fucked up. Like it really is.
That's
like,
crazy.
I want to say at the time when we left, like the bare minimum was $120,000.
Dang.
Like as an individual.
Oh my God.
To be able to support yourself there. Yeah.
That is insane.
Like below that is considered poverty level. Yeah. yeah, it was fucked up. Like
Oh my
a one-bedroom apartment was average $3,500 to $4,000 a month. For real.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude. Yeah.
Dude,
so
I can never.
we left LA. We looked at LA for a little while, and I had a homie who ran a studio there called All Welcome Records. Felipe Navarro Delgadillo. That's the guy. He's cool. He had a really sweet studio, but there just wasn't enough work like coming into his studio to be able to get me like comfortable living in LA.
Yeah.
And so that ultimately led to my ex and I moving to New Mexico, which was like a whole other like kind of just like this weird sideways in my life, but it was like amazing. I didn't do a ton of work there studio wise, but what I gained experience wise and in my life, I cherish heavily. I feel like it changed me as a person fundamentally in so many ways. But we moved back to Memphis in 2018, the tail end, so basically 2019, and started working for Young Avenue Sound. And then once they sold the building over there, everything changed. And so I was basically, now I wouldn't say pushed out, but like they kind of like politely were like, we're selling the building, we're kind of stripping back, we don't really know what the future holds. And that scares me. So I went immediately and started looking for other places to work.
Yeah.
And found Doug Easley, and that's now where I'm at.
Okay, so I actually don't know who Doug is.
So Doug is a guy who in the 90s and 2000s and in the early, like late 80s, he had a home studio that kind of like grew and built into what is now American Studio. Because previously, I want to say it was built out by RCA or another label. It was definitely built by a label to be a purpose-built studio. And I think it was one of the first ones in Memphis that was like a purpose-built studio. And so in the 90s...
Like purpose-built?
Like, the building was purpose-built to be a recording studio.
Oh,
it wasn't already another type of... Like, Sun Studio was already a building before Sam Phillips moved in there to, like, make that a recording studio. Royal Studios is the same way. And I want to say that American, what is now American, I forget what it was called then, was the first one in the city. So it was, like... built with the intention of it sounding great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the live room in there was made to be like the shit, basically.
Yeah.
And so in the 90s, apparently it was dilapidated and nobody was using it. And then Doug Easley and this guy named Davis McCain partnered up and moved into that place and then just started running sessions over there. Built a studio. Doug had already had like a lot of equipment already. So they just kind of like... moved out of the house, graduated into a purpose-built space, and then after that, they were there for probably, 20 years or something like that. And he recorded there, excuse me, over there he recorded the White Stripes, he recorded Jeff Buckley, he recorded Wilco, Sonic Youth, Pavement, Cat Power. Doug toured with Cat Power for a while. Loretta Lynn, Jack White mixed Loretta Lynn's like comeback record over there in like the early 2000s. Bunch of other people, like a bunch of other underground cool like indie bands and shit. And then he had a fire in 2007, I think. And then after that building was just kind of like toast. So, and he was like, I'm not fucking rebuilding this. Yeah. So they took all the equipment out, he refurbished what he could, and then now he's in the studio out like off Park Avenue, kind of in the Orange Mountain, that's owned by this guy named Sean Faust. And so Sean Faust and Doug Easley and Davis McCain all partnered up, and that's now where the studio is. And this studio was like, that it's in now was built to be a studio too.
Oh, okay.
So it's a really cool room. It's like one big live room. There's 3 booths. Tons of good mics, tons of awesome outboard gear, like the creme de la creme of mics, honestly. Like some serious mics.
That's dope.
It's really, really great. And Doug is super cool. Doug is like, he's like a mad scientist. You know what I mean? Like he's been working on these old Universal Audio preamps that he's got. So there's just like shit everywhere.
Yeah.
And every time I come back, like when I left to come here, I was like, all right, Doug, I'll see you later, man. And he's like, all right, what time you in tomorrow? And I was like, sometime between 10 and 11 probably. And I peek back there, and he's got these magnifying glasses on that are like illuminate what he's looking at. And he's just like soldering away, just like doing the whole thing. But that's where I'm at now. So it's been a weird kind of like zigzag of working in a bunch of different studios, because unfortunately the music industry is volatile, man.
It is.
Everything is changing, whether it's the format we're listening on or who's in control of what, how much money is coming in. You know what I mean? Like those are always fluctuating. And it's crazy now that like vinyl is making the resurgence that it's made.
Did you? Well, actually, I'm pretty sure you didn't go there because I went. But what's his name? Matt Rossbang and Jeff Powell.
Yeah, you went to that last night?
I did.
Yeah, cool. Or 2 nights ago, yeah.
I was sitting next to Victoria Downey.
Cool, yeah.
Didn't even know it was her.
Oh, hilarious! Yeah,
yeah. Because
that's awesome. Man.
I figured it out, and I meant to message her.
Yeah.
When I figured it out, but
yeah, Victoria's great, man.
She walked up to Matt at the end, and she was like, "Hey, I'm Crockett's girlfriend," and I was like,
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Like it clicked in my head. And I meant to say something, but I completely forgot because I've never met her and never talked to her before.
She's super sweet, man.
But that was pretty funny. But that was great. They gave tons of information about vinyl.
Yeah.
And I think Jeff said that they're like, I want to say the world back order totals like 250 million records or something like that. That's like the world total. And I was like, dear God.
Yeah, it's like a 12-month turnaround right now or some bullshit like that.
And for people who are listening who don't realize, like, vinyl has surpassed CDs.
For sure. Yeah. And I want to say that it's almost at par with like digital sales.
That's
like,
insane.
Not streaming, but digital sales,
you
know? Which is fucking crazy. Like, have you seen that video of Jack White pleading for Universal, Sony, and what's the other one? There's like another large label.
Warner?
Yes, Warner. And he's saying, please make your own pressing plants. He's like, the world cannot keep up with this shit. You have to like make your own pressing plants because a punk band from wherever can't even get their vinyl made for a year from now. Yeah. And it's like, who has the time for that shit, you know?
So I'm so confused on how there aren't just more pressing plants. Like,
so apparently there was no, the actual mechanisms that are the presses. Yeah. There's only a finite amount of them ever made. Up until now, MRP, and I think they're one of the first, I don't know, I don't want to speak, wrongly about that. But I know that MRP, Memphis Record Pressing, has newer digital automated presses now. Oh. So somebody out there, or maybe a couple of people, are making presses again. So what used to be, it was really hard to find the presses. Like I think when MRP opened, they sourced out a lot of their presses from somewhere in the Midwest. That was like, it used to be from some old record pressing. They were out of commission. And they put in a bunch of time and effort to rebuild them, and then now that these digitally automated ones are in the building, they apparently have parked all the old ones. Oh. So, but they have a $7 million expansion happening soon.
That's crazy.
And so there's going to be a ton of record pressing going on in there, like a lot.
The thing to me is that you would think that people would know about this because I mean wherever money is, that's where people who have money are going to go to. Yeah. And if they think that you can make money off of this, I would think that somebody would have created a lot more of these or 3D print them. I don't know if that's a thing, but maybe one day.
There are other ways for sure that aren't the typical route. Mm-hmm. But basically what they are acetate cuts and or like a Presto cut, which is what they used to do in the 50s, which was like an instant. The lacquer is what goes to Jeff Powell, and then he takes that lacquer and then makes, or he creates the lacquer. I'm sorry. So you give your files to Jeff. Jeff creates the lacquer. The lacquer then goes to the stamping facility, the pressing plant, and then they make the copies off of the lacquer. Yeah. But the lacquer only has a certain amount of plays, and over time the grooves will fill in because it's some sort of malleable surface. Yeah. So there is a way to do it, and there are people out there that do small batch cuts like that, but I don't know what the quality is like or anything like that. And you really only can, the time it takes to cut it is the time it takes to listen to the record. Yeah. Because it's literally rotating. Yeah. Whereas like a pressing plant, they can make a stamp they can take the stampers and the plates and mush the puck of vinyl together in like 3 seconds. And then they trim the edges and it's done. Oh, so per unit, you're moving way more if you have a pressing plant versus the hand cut. Okay. And they're more expensive too. So you lose a margin of profit, which is unfortunate. So Jack White is right. the industry guys need to get that shit going because there aren't enough.
I remember Jeff saying something about a.
Thank you.
Jeff was saying something about a mother is what they call it.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a mother giving birth to other ones.
Yeah.
That's what you use to make the other ones. And he was telling a story. I don't remember who it was. It's like a very famous popular artist who like had a big hit. He said that some label had the mother and somebody came by and they accidentally like dropped it or knocked it over and shattered the mother.
Yeah.
So Jeff had to make another one.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh my God.
Right. I want to say there's a mother and a father to the process.
There is.
I forget exactly what the process is, but yeah.
He explained it, but I literally, so the funny thing is I'm at this mastering conference for vinyl. I've literally never heard vinyl in my life. Yeah. And they played it there and I was like, oh, okay, this was
Yeah.
The funny thing was what's his name? Matt had I think he had cut the song that was that they were playing.
Oh, cool.
But the first time they played it, he said it clearly sounded distorted. Yeah. And he was like, that one sounds a little distorted. Can we try a different
record?
Yeah, a different record player. So they tried a different one and it sounded much better. He's like, oh, okay, that sounds
better. Yeah. So that's part of it too, is like the record player itself. Yeah. There's so much physicality to it. Actually, Jeff is the person who taught me. I do a little bit of vinyl mastering too. Basically, digital prep for vinyl. Nice. Like whenever I'm digitally mastering a record, some artists will ask for a vinyl master as well. And basically, I just take that digital master and kind of walk it back and prep it for the vinyl thing, because there's a couple things about the vinyl mastering that are different from the digital. In the digital world, we want it to be as loud as possible, as full as possible, and just like wanging, But with the vinyl, you can't really do that because the physical limitations of cutting the groove in the vinyl really come into play. You can't have heavy, like low end on the sides, and especially you can't have heavy low end favor a side, because that makes the needle jump out of the groove. Yeah,
all that junk blew my mind. Yeah. I was like, I've only done digital music. Right. So he was like, yeah, you got to cut off the low end and
tame the high end.
Yeah, tame the high. I was like, what are you talking?
Yeah, if you have too much like 3K to 8K, you can like distort
that's crazy,
the cutting head or whatever. And
so like usually an EQ has like 20K on. That's like the top.
That's like the highest that we perceive. Yeah.
But what about vinyl? Like, how far does it actually go?
Probably like 18 or something. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, that's kind of probably the top. Okay. But it probably starts to roll off somewhere between 12 and 14, probably. Okay. Maybe even sooner. I usually start, because when I do a master, I'll cut everything from between 60 and 80 hertz completely out. Okay. Typically 60, because like 60 is like that's audible on like NS10s, and like should be audible like on a vinyl record. Yeah. But everything below that is gone, and then I'll DS the 3 to 8K. Okay. Like I don't EQ cut it or anything. I just literally DS it so that when it gets crazy strident, it kind of just pushes back, keeps it in check. And then the top I roll off at like 14K or 16K. Okay. And that usually gets the job done, because you don't want too much top end, You're kind of like shrinking it in. Yeah. And then you're doing this crazy thing with the low end where you're running it what's called an elliptical EQ, where you take all the low end at say 100 hertz or 150 hertz, and you're making it all mono. So there's no low end on the sides really. Oh, and that ensures that the groove is like steady in the center, which is pretty wild, But yeah, it's just crazy that vinyl is making a comeback too. Like the industry, like it's just, and now the Atmos shit, like that's crazy. I know so many people that are getting into Atmos now, and I'm like, damn, do I have to do that? I'm like, I feel the same way. Like I'm like, I struggle sometimes with just two speakers, dude.
Let me master stereo first.
Yeah, for real. Like shit, y'all. Like I don't know, man, but it's very interesting, and I definitely want to hear it. But I have no experience with any Atmos. You visited an Atmos room, right?
So I went to what's it called? Blackbird.
Right.
I went to
cool.
Blackbird
Yeah.
and went to their Atmos room. Absolutely amazing, world class type Atmos room.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is just strange. Like to
Really?
to be able to mix in this. Like the room is huge.
Really?
Like it's probably, I don't know, maybe 20 foot tall or something like that. And then
So they got speakers all the way up there.
oh yeah, they're at the ceiling.
So it's like a movie theater size.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
huge. I mean, but
Yeah,
like
that seems crazy.
the front to back is probably about as big as our downstairs.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's just big. I don't know how to explain it. And then just having the speakers everywhere, like I don't know. I've just been mixing in like my bedroom at home,
Right.
and then like in here. So I don't know. It's kind of weird to be in such a big room.
Yeah.
Like
And have all this information all over the place coming at you. Yeah.
It's just sound everywhere. But
yeah.
if you can do it, do it.
See, I don't even know like what's the context of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I've never heard music in an Atmos room. I mean, I've seen movies in a Dolby Atmos theater, but I feel like that's not the same.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're hearing music in that context, it's always kind of like everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like the drums are here and the guitar's here or whatever the fuck they do. I don't even know what they do. You know what I mean?
So to everybody who doesn't know, stereo is just basically two speakers, like two sets, and then when you have
it's like your headphones, the left and the right.
Correct. Yeah. Left, right channel. Well, mono is just one channel.
Right.
And then for Dolby Atmos, what they usually do is a 7.1.4.
Yeah.
And then, so what that means is you've got 7 speakers, like tweeters.
Yeah.
And then you've got 1 sub, and then you have 4 like ceiling type speakers.
Right.
Well, if you really think about like 7, you've got 7 speakers and then a sub and then 4 speakers over your head. That's like more sound than you can really think about.
Yeah.
But kudos to people who can do it. It's impressive.
I mean, I definitely am very, very curious. And shout out to the homie Leo Goff. He has turned Studio B and Ardent, their old live room, which was basically like a lounge and like where Jody Stevens' drum set was always set up, and they had like a pinball machine and like some arcade games in there and shit. It was basically just like Studio B was purpose built it wasn't purpose built to be a mix room, but it eventually turned into that because they have an SSL 4000 in there, I believe, or maybe it's a 6000. Either way, bitchin' SSL, like huge. So it's like 48 channels, I think.
Dang.
Yeah, like as big as a Lincoln, basically. And he's turned the old live room into an Atmos room now. So he has somehow set it up in there. And he's hit me up. He's like, dude, bring some stems over. Let's fuck with this shit. And I'm like, all right, give me like a week, and I really need to do it. I've just been so fucking busy.
I'm sure it's fun.
I'm sure it is too, yeah. I
sure
mean, and Ari Morris is doing that too. He's mixing he mixed that new Lil Durk track for Atmos too, but I haven't heard it, and I haven't heard any spatial audio either with the Apple rendering.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's about either, you know?
So do you have any clue on what really spatial audio is? Like how it's
just
different?
Apple's proprietary render of Atmos for a binaural setup, meaning like you're wearing it in your head. So it's like still the 2 ears, but it's somehow rendered, like digitally rendered to give a sense of space.
Okay.
Like
is it just
you.
Apple?
Just Apple. That's what the
okay.
spatial audio is, yeah. So like you can only listen to spatial audio on Apple Music.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also
and on
heard
AirPods.
I also heard that you can only get true spatial audio from a wired connection. Like,
oh, really?
Like if you Bluetooth it, or if you not Bluetooth. If you and I say wired, but I mean like if you like playing it through, I guess like your
streaming or something,
like your car speakers or something, or
or
something like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's like you don't get the true aspect of it.
Yeah.
Unless you're using like maybe like the AirPods.
Yeah.
Or the AirPod Max or whatever.
Yeah, there's like only Beats, AirPods, and like Sony headphones that are like spatial audio rendered, set up to do that. Like you can't just listen on any I think if you were to listen to spatial audio on normal headphones, it would sound really weird.
Okay.
It probably sound really phasey and like, I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't even tried that.
And I also think you can't get it if you just like connected your phone to some random Bluetooth speaker.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
That's what I think. That's something
There's like
I heard.
some kind of format. Yeah. Hookup or something. Yeah. I don't know. It's fucking weird. It's all changing, and I'm over here just still rocking 2 speakers, man.
Are you only using Pro Tools?
I use a little bit of Logic Pro.
You use Logic? Okay.
Yeah. That was my first DAW, actually, was Logic Pro. Because
nice.
I'm kind of late to the game. I got started with recording in about 2010 because in 2005 I joined this band. They got signed to a label, and then we got like pretty large advances to go make albums.
Okay.
So we did 2 records in some studios where we spent a month in the studio.
Dang.
And so I got that was like a boot camp in itself. Just like, even though I didn't ask any questions or like badger the producer or the engineer, I just watched and just like via osmosis realized like, oh shit, okay, so they start with the drums and they're doing it to a metronome, and then they add the guitars and then the bass and then the vocal. I'm like, all right, shit.
I could do this.
Yeah, I'm like, shit, this is kind of, and then I was like, I thought it was all live or whatever. You know what I mean? So it was like, just that broke a lot of barriers for me and like understanding how the process was done. And also seeing it from people who were literally getting paid like $30,000 to do the job.
Yeah.
So it was really cool, but through that process, I realized like touring is not what I wanted to do. Like, it's just not who I am.
A lot of people figure that out.
Yeah, I did it for 3 years and realized after that, I was like, after about the 3rd year, I was like, I don't know how much longevity is in this, you know? So I took a back seat on that. And then, coincidentally, around the same time, that band that I was in went on hiatus. So everybody was going back to college. And I was like, I'm going to check out this recording thing. But I started with GarageBand.
Okay.
So I got a Mac Mini in like 2009 and then started fucking around with GarageBand and then was recording my own my own band just for fun. And I had a bunch of guitar amps and like cabinets and speakers and just like shit that I didn't need. So I sold all of it and then bought like that Mac Mini, a couple of microphones and like a PreSonus FireWire interface, dude.
Nice.
Just like the basic shit.
Yeah.
And then from there, just jumped into Logic Pro. Excuse me. My neighbor to my duplex, Drew Ryan, shout out to Drew fucking Ryan. Love you, bro. That dude, one of the coolest motherfuckers ever. One of the best graphic designers, visual artists, like artists in general, and then sick-ass drummer. His band just put out a record recently that has been doing super well, deservedly, because they are incredible. They're called Courtesy. The record's called Check the Milk. Check it out. It's the shit.
Check the Milk.
Yeah, I'm plugging it. Kirk Rawlings and Drew Ryan, my guys. But Drew had a copy of Logic Pro, and he was fucking around with it over there, and I was like, oh, man, that looks sweet. And he's like, I'll give you the license. So he gave me the license, and we shared it, and we couldn't like get on the Wi-Fi if we were both using it because it would like what
I just found that with Luna.
right. Like we couldn't get on Wi-Fi, so like we had to like figure it out, But eventually, I bought a copy of Logic and started using that. And then I really didn't start with Pro Tools until I started working at Ardent because over there they have Pro Tools pretty much exclusively in all the rooms, like HD systems and shit.
Okay.
So I got a hard boot camp lesson on how to use Pro Tools by even just working there.
Yeah.
Because I was very savvy with Logic, but I didn't know much about Pro Tools. And then once I got the in over to working over there, that just became like the standard. And then really when I lived in California too, working with Sam Pura, like he put me onto a lot of shit about Pro Tools that I wasn't aware of. Because the way he makes records is completely different to the way anybody that I know in Memphis makes records. Like he is very computer heavy.
Okay.
And he probably would hate that I said that, but it's true.
So what do you mean by that?
Like he uses a lot of Beat Detective on drums, so he gets in there and chops the shit up, makes it slap to the grid.
Like a trigger or something like that?
No. Like he's like, say you're a drummer going do ba do ba ba do ba do ba ba, and the metronome is like this. He goes in there using the metronome in the grid, and Beat Detective, the program within within Pro Tools, cuts up all those hits and then scoots them into the grid so that
quantizes
that. Okay. Yeah, so that every hit is exactly in line with metronome. So he does stuff like that. Not all the time, but I've seen him do it a lot. And then I've seen him use like auto-tune on the bass and like just random stuff like that. It's just very...
I've never heard that. Auto-tune on the bass?
Yeah, on a bass DI. Yeah, to keep it in super pitch. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's very crazy. It's like that's not some shit I would do ever.
That's wild.
You know what I mean? Unless like there was a note that was out of tune and you want to push it in.
Yeah.
You can totally melodyne it or whatever, or you can even use auto-tune. But it was just a completely different approach. Like Memphis, like we're kind of like slack-jawed and like we're a little like on the ignorant side. We're like, you gonna use a click track? Man, are you a fucking loser? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? So like to come from, because that's the mentality at Ardent.
Yeah.
They're like, man, play it. Like, you're the fucker that wrote it. Play that shit. You know what I mean? And then going to work with him, it was more like, okay, I see what you're playing. Now let's make it the tightest version of that. And like what I can kind of equate to what he was doing is more of like, kind of like manufacturing music. Okay. Whereas like my approach was more about like recording artists and their like in their most raw state. You know what I mean? Like that was what I was into. And I like love that I learned all that shit from Sam because I still apply some of those things today. And I'm glad that I have those skill sets in my tool bag because every now and again I need to auto-tune something or every now and again I need to like heavily edit a performance. Like earlier today I was doing this metal record where there was just like this slight flam thing between the kick and the snare, and like if I didn't know how to do that, you know, I might not have been able to successfully edit it, or it just would have sounded weird. So all that being said, I learned a lot about Pro Tools from that dude.
Yeah. So how heavy are you on doing analog gear compared to like plugins and stuff? Because I think most of us engineers or producers, like we love plugins. We love to just play with different, because like plugins are like toys to a kid. You know, you get something that you can play around and do stuff different. Are you heavy into plugins, or are you just like just like my analog gear and I'm done? No,
I'm super into both.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say it's probably a hybrid approach where, like, when we're recording, like if I'm recording a band, recording a drum kit, recording bass, recording guitar, vocals, whatever the fuck it might be, I'm heavily engineering the shit out of it on the way in with analog equipment.
Okay.
I want to kind of capture the character through the chain that I've built or mic pre's that I've selected or whatever it might be. So I'm super into that. I'm not afraid to like go deep on committing compression, committing EQ, like that shit. I love that stuff.
Okay.
Because I want it to, like, I want that stuff's there. Why not use it? Yeah. And it's like, and if it gets the job closer to finished, then fuck yeah. You know what I mean? If I'm in there listening and I'm like, ooh, these overheads need a little 10K or 12K, I can just like hit the EQ and it's there. Like, oh shit, I want to compress the hell out of that room mic. Oh, I want to compress the shit out of that vocal. Oh, whatever. I'll just do it, you know? So I'm not afraid to use analog equipment on the front end. You can ask Zoe, I'll build crazy chains. Like the patch bay looks like a fucking bomb went off, you know? like it's pretty wild. And like I love using real effects too. Like I love recording with effects. That's been something I've been doing a lot more lately. And
are we talking vocals or instruments or both?
Anything.
Okay.
Like something I've been doing a lot lately with the drums is I'll do a trash mic in there that's kind of like in the middle of all of the drums. So like say this right here is like the back side of the drum, the bass drum, and then the snare's kind of right here. Tom. I'm sticking a mic kind of in between over that bass drum hoop at the snare, but it's also getting a little bit of the toms, getting a little bit of the bass drum and the cymbals. And then I'll put that through like a delay.
Oh.
Or like a distortion box or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I'll just blend that in with like my close mics and my, nice like room sound mics and stuff. And it's just like a little bit of the ugly with the beautiful. And then like specifically with vocals, I'll run delays. I'll run reverbs and stuff like that live because I want the singer to kind of like, I don't want them to imagine what it's going to sound like. I'd rather them know then and there, like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I'll always have a clean vocal mic sound, but I'll sneak in, a delay. Or, like, sometimes I'll do a distortion. And then sometimes I'll do 2 reverbs. You know what I mean? And just have all that. I mean, I'm recording, like, 5 different tracks at once, but it's nothing too crazy. You know what I mean? I'm not, like, I don't get super crazy with vocal punches and comps and stuff like that. I definitely don't record people bar for bar. Like, I'm like, sing the verse.
Yeah.
Sing the chorus. If we need to punch, we'll punch. But I much prefer performances like that.
To me, like, I think rapping is okay like that.
Bar for bar, no doubt.
But singing's like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it should be
It's
done.
a movement. Yeah,
I feel like it should definitely be done, like, all in one take. I mean, maybe not the whole thing, but, like, a good portion. Because, like, singing is so emotional, I feel like. So, I don't know. I mean, rapping is too, but I feel like it's just different.
It's just different. And, like, I always ask people, what's their preferred way, before we start. Like, do you want to go bar for bar? Do you want to go line for line? Do you want to go, like, the whole thing? Do you want to do the whole fucking song and then come back? Some people want to do that.
Yeah.
So it's really, like, whatever the artist wants to do. But I definitely like to lean into the analog shit on the way in. But then once it's in there, I don't really fuck with it. Like, I do not, like, I don't mix on a console. I don't mix with any, like, the most outboard equipment that I'll use is sometimes I'll print through stuff if I feel like, I feel like this could get me closer to this thing. If a plugin can't get me there, that's when I lean on, the real stuff. And, like, the only real analog piece that I use lately is just a tape machine on the final 2-track, I'll print it to tape and then fly it back in and then print that back. So to get kind of that, like, finished, I don't know, it just is like a nicer riser, basically. It just sounds better. It sounds a little bit more like, and that's actually not always better. Sometimes it's not the sound. Sometimes it gets too, like, smeared or the low end gets a little lost or something. But I'm pretty heavy on keeping it in the box once I'm in the box.
Okay.
And I have, like, a mix template that I use. And I lean heavily on, like, UAD plugins.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple other, like, Waves plugins that I really use a lot, but a lot of UAD shit, like a ton.
Yeah, that's how I am. Like, I pretty much use, like, FabFilter.
Yeah,
and
same.
FabFilter and UAD, and I'm almost done.
And
like,
SoundToys. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, SoundToys, yeah.
I love the SoundToys shit. Like,
I'm a little upset that I don't do more, like, because when I do music, I'm usually just mixing. I've got a friend who raps. He lives in Dallas, and, 416 DD. But he'll send me his vocals, and I'll mix them for him.
Yeah.
But like, other than that, I'm just doing, like, mine and his, and that's it. So, like, for SoundToys, I'm using, like, Echo Boy, Little Alter Boy.
Yeah, totally, man.
And that's about it. I wish I did more instruments just so I could play with those.
Totally, man.
But I bought it because I had a good discount on it. But also, I was like, I got to have the tools. You know what I mean? Like, I got to have these in case. Like, what if somebody was like, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, dang, now I got to go buy this. But nope, I've already got it.
Totally, man. I love the SoundToys shit, man. I love Decapitator and pro tip, everybody listening. If you're into the Devil Lock, which is like their Shure leveler, like it's a distortion box basically.
Yeah.
That thing is awesome, but it adds a ton of gain to the signal, so you can get real crazy real fast. Use the Effect Rack plugin, and then throw the Devil Lock in that, and then you have a control on the input and the output, and you have a blend knob.
Oh,
so you can blend in, because like I love that plugin for getting vocals to sound like they're going through a PA.
So it's like a dry wet type.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you control the level too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So you get like a little bit more control with that. Dang. Because the Devil Lock can be a little crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's sick. That's one of my favorites. Drums on that is like the shit. Vocals. It's like one of my favorite for vocals, man. I'll put a bus up. Like I'll send the lead vocal through a bus, and on that, I'll put the effect rack, run the double lock, and just squeeze it out real hard, and then blend that in, and that's like that gets it that like kind of like clean and airy, but then also that pushed like PA kind of low mid, where it's just like really like kind of thing happening under the belly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just like it like makes it firmer, you know, but it's not compression. You know what I mean? And it gives it some tone too. But I love all those plugins, dude. SoundToys is the shit. Sponsor me.
So we've
Same
talked
with
about
y'all, UAD. Sponsor me too.
Yeah, for real. For real. Did you see they got something coming out new? That Spark? I don't know what it is, but they've got something new coming out on the 30th.
A new product? Yeah.
They're horrible about announcements.
Yeah.
Their announcements are the worst.
Yeah.
Like they hyped up that announcement. I think it was last year.
Yeah.
It was either last year or during COVID, like 2020. And
for Luna?
It wasn't for Luna. It was the pedals.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. I do,
They hyped it, and I was like, oh, we're about to get something crazy.
And it was just guitar pedals,
It was pedals. I was like, oh, my God.
I remember when Luna dropped, and they were, like, hyping that big time, and I was like, damn, what are they going to do? What is this?
Yeah.
And then it was their DAW, and I was like, oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I've tried to record in Luna. Actually, I recorded Oakwalker, Victoria Dowdy's group.
Okay.
We started it in Luna, and then I was like, fuck this. I'm going to Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Because I was moving too slow. You know what I mean? I felt like I couldn't find my shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like looking all around everywhere. And but I do love the concept and the idea. And what I really want UAD to do is fucking integrate the physical world and the digital world. Because that's something they don't do yet.
Yeah.
Like on a heavy basis. But like imagine a UAD console.
Yes.
Or a UAD control surface.
Yes.
That has like the Neve 1073 Unison on it.
Yeah.
Like I would fucking love that.
Yeah.
As like a mobile setup or something, like anything, even as in a studio.
So we got the SSL UF8 downstairs.
Is that's the control surface you have? Yeah.
They made that compatible with Luna.
Word.
But I still agree with you.
Yeah.
Like they need to make like, I don't know, like a 16 or 8 channel thing where, you know, like so on the UF8 it's got like a mini like I guess it's LCD screen where you can see like what channel you're on and whatever.
Right.
That would be sick if it was like console right in front of you and you could see like, all right, I want to like if they had it like the Slate Raven where you could just like basically touch and be like, all right, I want that plug in for Unison and I want these for my inserts, this for my bus. Like that would be nasty.
That would be dope, right? Yeah.
That would be
They're probably
nasty.
already on it. They're probably 10 years in the fucking making of that shit. And no one has said anything.
Yeah.
Matt Rossbang, if you know, tell us.
Yeah, right. Dude, they have these great ideas, but they don't really execute them the way they should. And it's, for me, like when you're a company like UAD, take your time. Like you've been in the game for so long.
Totally. Take
your time and do it right. Well, like with Luna, I feel like they rushed it. Yeah. They put it out there. Yeah. And it was okay. And I don't know. Do you know Drew from UA? It's a Facebook thing. So
I don't have Facebook.
Yeah. Okay, so on Facebook,
that shit's terrible for you. Facebook.
What's his name? Oh, Drew. Drew he works as I guess support for Universal Audio. Yeah. But if you're in one of the UA Facebook groups, then all you have to do is like tag him in a post, and he'll respond. Like he works directly for UA.
Yeah, cool.
And some people were like, Luna doesn't have this, Luna doesn't have that. He's like, guys, it's 2 years old. Yeah. Chill out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. But in my opinion, though, it's still 2022. Yeah. Like, all you had to do was copy Pro Tools.
And like take Pro Tools, roll it up in a little fucking doobie and smoke it, man. Yes. Like just like come out with something that's harder. But I get it. I totally get it. And like when they came out with that idea, I was like, oh, that's awesome because I would love to get away from Pro Tools. Not that I hate Pro Tools. I just feel like
you have to pay for Pro Tools. Luna is free.
Yeah, exactly. It's expensive to keep up with, especially if you're using HD.
Yeah.
Like, that's expensive. I don't use HD. I don't really care. I don't know. like the latency with Thunderbolt and shit is like fine enough, dude. And honestly, we have analog Q sends at the studio, so it's like if we really need to, we can use that. It's just when you're overdubbing, that's when it gets weird. But I haven't had any issues on a non-HD system yet. I haven't had zero complaints. So I feel like there's no reason really for me to jump up to HD. But I would love to get away, because $30 a month is still $30 a month.
Yes.
If you're paying for the subscription. If you bought it outright, that's cool. But like, I don't have the capital to just throw down and buy that shit up offhand because I'm buying other stuff. You know what I mean? I had to buy my computer, had to buy an interface, had to buy all these mics, blah, blah, blah. So, it's difficult to keep up with, and I love to like chop off the fucking bullshit and like cut fat when I don't need it. You know what I mean? And that's why I love UAD too, because like I feel like bang for the buck, you're getting really good quality tools, man.
Yeah.
Like they are expensive, but God, dude, like the UAD Helios EQ that I use like religiously on so many different things, like to buy that EQ, to buy one of them is like $1,000. And I probably paid $150 for the digital version. And the digital version sounds pretty fucking good. You know what I mean? So it's like, for what you're getting, I feel like it's no brainer to go with that company.
Yeah. I've been messing with Slate stuff, and I've slowly like realized the difference between UA and Slate.
Yeah.
Like I literally took I think Slate just calls it their FG2A for Fabricio Gabriel 2A.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
I used their that version and then the LA2A.
Yeah.
And I put it at the exact same settings.
Yeah.
And the FG or the Slate version sounded like crap.
Really?
And the UA sounds amazing as always.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's the difference. Like I know they're built different. They've got two different programmers programming these things.
Totally.
But
the
point is to get as close to the original thing.
Yeah.
And to have settings. And the LA2A from Teletronics is the original, UA. So if Slate can't get close to that with the exact same settings, then I'm not happy with it.
Yeah.
And then also Waves. I think Waves stuff sounds pretty good, but you get what you pay for. Like Waves plugins are like $20.
Yeah, right.
So
I mean, there's certain Wave stuff that I've used that I liked, but when it comes to like emulations of classic gear, I feel like UAD does the best.
The best.
Like
absolutely.
That. There's the one LA2A they have. The silver one. Mm-hmm. It's like they have the gray, the silver, and then just the 2A.
Yeah, they've got the 2A.
Yeah.
Then they also have you tried the LA3A?
No, I haven't tried their 3A. Yeah.
I'll let you try it. I've got it.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Yeah. I haven't tried. I've never actually used an analog one of those either. An LA3A or anything.
I've never. I think I've seen some pictures of some like on Instagram or something, but
I've used a couple LA2As. The old ones are like unreal sounding, dude.
Really?
Man, like they're one of those things where you put it on the insert and you're like, holy shit. Like that sounds awesome now. And it's not even doing compression, it just has the tone.
Yeah.
The newer ones are cool, but I really don't use them as much. But that LA2A silver plugin kind of has the same vibe as like the old school ones, in my opinion. Okay. Where when you put it on, you're like, it sounds better now. I don't know why, but it sounds better. It sounds classier. It just sounds more like robust or something, But I love plugins. I use them every fucking day.
Yeah.
Like I can't mix on a console anymore. I used to have an Allen Heath mixer that I mixed on. And it just became too much having like clients get back to me and having notes. Like to be able to maintain a steady work environment and be able to like put food on the table and shit, I basically had to move the in the box because it was too slow to keep everything on a console. I couldn't get artists to make decisions in due time, and that puts me back on mixing.
Oh yeah.
Because I can't mix until I can start over.
Yeah.
So I would have to leave the board the way that it was because there was no automation on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, the mix is done. Listen tonight and tomorrow and get back to me ASAP. And then it'd be like 5 days. And then I'm like hammering, being like, what the fuck's going on? And it's just like, that drove me crazy. And that's when I was working at Ardent, there was a moment where I had the realization I don't need all this badass equipment in the analog form anymore.
Yeah.
And it was because I was making this record with this band, The Dirty Streets. The album is called White Horse. We recorded it at Ardent in Studio C, and over like a week's time or something. And then Ardent's really sick because they have a SSL duality in that room, and it's 48 channels. So who the fuck is recording 48 channels?
Nobody.
Well, actually, I know somebody recently. I assisted someone who had like 30 something, and it was pretty wild. I was like, this is nuts. But anyway, so with Dirty Streets, I mean, we probably had 4 or 5 mics for the drums, maybe 2 for the bass, maybe 2 for the guitars. But we're committing shit. We're summing stuff down.
Yeah.
We're doing it very old school, so there's not a heavy track count. And then, like, one of the cool things about that room is that you can run it in split mode, meaning that console, that tequila's getting you.
That had a bite to it.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty good tequila. I'm into it. But you can run the board in split mode, meaning you can channels 1 through 24 are your inputs to Pro Tools. 25 through 48 are mirrored playback channels.
Okay.
So 1 and 25 are the same. This is where the mic is coming in. You have some EQ. Maybe you're putting a compressor in the circuit or something, And then this is where all your headphone send shit comes from. It's all this side. And so this side, the faders are flat, kind of at 0 or maybe a little under if you're gain staging hot, whatever is going on. That stays static. That's going into Pro Tools. And then this side is what's returning and then feeding out to the speakers.
Okay.
So the whole time we were working, I was building a mix. Like I was like inserting shit on the drums, like bussing them into a channel, whatever, doing parallel stuff, like making commitments already.
Yeah.
So by the end of that week, the mix was kind of already there. And so I think we spent 2 days mixing in the studio. We mixed it all analog, used Fairchilds, Pultecs, 1176s, stay levels, like all the shit. Like
That's wild.
I'll send you some photos. I took some photos, and it's insane. So we mixed the record. It was sounding awesome in the room. Everybody's loving it. We're like, fuck yeah, I think this is done. And then I moved to California the next week.
Oh.
So and we're like, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
And if I have to do a recall mix, it's not going to be in Memphis. It's going to be out here, which is kind of scary, or in LA. So we ended up taking some time. I went on a road trip to move to California, basically took a week off. When I got to California, I was like, oh man, I don't know. This mix kind of sounds lame. Like I was listening to it, and the band had kind of hit me back with notes, and they're like, yeah, we might want to remix it. I'm like, fuck, okay. Those are the dreaded words.
Yeah.
And like I'm hearing it myself and thinking like, fuck, man. Like this is what it sounded like in the room? Like what the hell happened, you know? So anyway, I had my twin, like a twin duo. So not even a ton of plugins.
Yeah.
I had Logic Pro, didn't even have Pro Tools at this point. And a pair of Audio-Technica M40X headphones, and mixed a song from the record on headphones in Logic, sent that out to them, like spent like 2 days trying to like really fucking get it great. Sent that to the band, and they were like, "Dude, this sounds awesome. Like, what did you do? What's the story? How did you do this?" And I was like,
"Oh man,
I mixed it on my fucking Mac Mini on headphones, and they're like, "What?" So I remixed the whole record in headphones, and like it came out badass, dude. That's I realized like I don't need this fucking equipment. I think if you make the decisions on the front end and like be bold, make hardcore choices, like EQ the shit out of shit if you feel like it needs it. That's what 12 plus 12 is for, dude. You know what I mean? There's a reason.
Yeah.
So, like paint your picture, but then like once you're done, you don't really need to do much more. You can get like apparently all the Sly Stone records back in the day are all mixed on a monitor side of a console, meaning all they had was a fader and a pan, and that's it. So it's like the sound of the record is the way it was recorded, which is badass. So I kind of just like have started to adopt that mentality. I mean, my mix template is pretty intense, but it's built the way that it is so that I can have a lot of control once I get things settled. And also so I can print stems and do like alternative mixes pretty quick. You know, within like I can run one pass on a mix and get an unmastered mix, a mastered mix, no vocal mix, an all vocal mix, and stems in one pass for all instruments within the song.
Okay.
So it's like, you need all that shit, boom, let it run once and that's it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't really... You don't need the equipment is what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
You really don't. Like, it's good to record in a great room with good mics. And, like, obviously your source material has to be good. Has to be a good sounding drum kit. You have to be a good singer. You have to be a good guitar player playing through a good guitar, through a good amp. But also, you really don't.
Yeah.
You don't really need to do that. Like, dude from Queens of the Stone Age, like, notoriously cuts all of his guitar shit through, like, a PV practice amp that's, like, this big. You know what I mean? It's literally a guitar amp that, up until his interview with Mark Ronson recently, was a $50 guitar amp, and now they're upwards of like $800 on eBay and Reverb and shit like that. So just be unique, be yourself, you know, and just try. Just like go out and like do shit, experiment. That's what's kind of badass about the whole digital thing. Because like I love analog, but like, and I've made analog records too, and I totally love doing that, but it's a lot more, your hands are tied. You know, you can't really, you can't be precious about anything. You have to let it be what it is and be accepting of that and know that, like, I gave it my best shot because there is no going back. But it's kind of badass cutting on tape, too, like doing all tape records, because bands will be like, I really liked that guitar solo, but I think I can do better. Can we try it again? And it's like, we can, but if you fucking hate this guitar solo, you're going to lose the one before.
Yeah.
You know, we're cutting on the same track. I don't have any more tracks. Like, I could bounce this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could bounce some stuff, but, like, that's going to take, like, maybe a half hour. Like, you're gonna be bored.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like the limitations put on the band and on the performers and stuff. I love that. That aspect about tape is great, and recording analog is great, but the endless tweakability and the endless opportunity of digital is what's beautiful about it. But you have to have discipline. Yeah. You can't just like, I mean, I guess you fucking can. You can do whatever you want. Like, one of my favorite mixing engineers is Sean Everett. Are you familiar with his work at all? He's incredible, man. He makes fucking gorgeous sounding albums. But apparently his like mix bus is like just like all plugins. Like, there's not a slot that's not used. And you might throw it through another bus and use 10 more inserts.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like insane apparently. This is just what I've been told through friends that work with him and shit, or like know of his workflow. Yeah. And I've heard that it's like pretty insane. So it's like there's no rules. You know, you can put 4 inserts of the UAD Studer in a row if you want. You know what I mean?
If you got the DSP for it.
Yeah. If you got the coin. Right. But yeah, man, I mean, I love all the facets of recording. Yeah. It's all art to me. Yeah. These are all tools for painting and creating. Then creating is what I love to do the most.
Yeah. That's what I tell people. I'm like, look, whatever you think is right is going to be right. Like, the first question I tell artists to ask yourself about a song is, do you like it? Yes or no? If you do like it, all right, next question. Do you think other people like it? Yes or no? Right. And then those are feeling questions. Do you feel good about this? Yeah. Do you think other people will feel good about this? Right. Because at the end of the day, music, like, there's no box to check with music, like, when it's done. Like, maybe stats, but no, like, oh, what mic did you use? Oh, you didn't use this mic? Not gonna make it. Yeah,
like, totally, dude.
It's all about feeling.
It is 100% Uptown Funk, man. That shit was recorded on an SM57. Bruno Mars's story goes, they were all partying at Royal when that was made, and they were partying in the control room.
Okay.
And Bruno Mars was out on the floor, and he was like, "Man, fuck this! I want to come party with y'all." He's like, "So hook me up, Boo." So Boo gives him an SM57, and he cuts majority of the vocals for that song.
That's crazy.
In the control room on a 57, dude. So it's not about the gear. It's not about. You don't need a U47. You don't need a Neumann anything.
Yeah.
You don't need a Telefunken anything. You can fucking... Dude, I did a blind shootout one time this is with the Dirty Streets again on another record. We did a blind shootout of guitar mics where we had like a ribbon mic. And I forget which ribbon mic it was. It was like a fancy one though. A 57, a 421, and a $10 Radio Shack mic. And which one do you think won?
Probably that $10.
Bar none, dude. Hands down, everybody was like, it was. My friend Wesley Graham, shout out Wesley, love you, bro. I made him label them A, B, C, D. He was the only one who knew which mic was which.
Yeah.
And so we listened to A.
Just having a blast.
We listened to B. Yeah, dude, he was grinning ear to ear because it was his Radio Shack mic too. Like, so he was grinning ear to ear whenever we all like. And we unanimously decided that was the mic, dude.
That's so weird.
Yeah. I was like, I think that's the 57. I think that's the 421. And I think that's the ribbon, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if the ribbon or the Radio Shack, but either way. Yeah, 20. And that's what's on the record is the $10, $20 Radio Shack mic, whatever it was. So super cheap. So it's like, a good mic is great, and especially on like singers and stuff. I feel like it's super important to have a good mic.
Yeah.
But these are good mics too, man.
Yeah.
These are fantastic mics.
Yeah.
I use these mics over, like Doug has. These Sony C37As.
Okay, yeah.
And they're gorgeous sounding mics. They're 50s tube mics. And he's got two Telefunken 251s too, but I've yet to use those yet.
Let me know. I can't wait to use one.
Yeah, I've used one once, but it wasn't it was on this record. This artist, Don Quixote's Horse, their singer, Ty, he brought his SM7 with him because that's what he usually records on. And I was like, dope, bring it because we might use it, Okay. But Jeremy Horn, who had the studio that we recorded in here in Memphis, he has a sweet studio. You should have him on the podcast too, man. He's awesome. You should have like all these people that I'm talking about. I'll hit you with a little list.
What
later.
I love about the podcast is there's a lot of people I haven't had on that other people have mentioned, but it's all recorded. So
yeah, totally. Yeah. I'll give you a list for sure because I know a ton of different people that would be really awesome to have on. But Jeremy, he's got a 251 clone, and I remember we tried the 251.
Is it the Bach?
Yes, the Bach 251.
Oh man, so UA bought them.
What, really?
UA bought Bach.
No shit.
Like 2 or 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So are
they manufacturing for Bach now? That's
what I don't think we know that yet.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
They have the 251.
Or do they just own the license?
Yeah. So, they bought was it Bach and there's another company.
Whoa.
Shoot, I can't remember. But so anyways, there's this 251, I think a U67 clone, and then a U87. That's the three that Bach, I guess,
made.
Here you go, UA. So
interesting.
Yeah, that's the three right now. So
yeah, he's got one of those, the Bach 251s, a U67, like a newer one, which I love those mics. Those are fantastic mics.
Yeah.
Lots of experience using those. And then he's got, I forgot what. Oh, we use a Qualls 4038 ribbon mic. Fantastic sounding mic. And then the SM7. And the SM7 beat them all.
Wow.
$400 mic over like a $8,000 tube clone or whatever. Whatever it fucking costs. I don't even know, honestly. Yeah. But Doug's got two of those. And story goes that he bought them off of a family who had a church. And his wife, when she was working at a steakhouse in the 90s, overheard them talking about how they were selling equipment. And she put Doug and them together. And then Doug went out there. and apparently he bought them for like next to nothing, dude. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't want to say how much because it's like I'm sure he wants to keep that a secret.
Embarrassingly low.
Yeah, a lot of his gear was like that because he that was the 90s, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and he had the eye and the savvy to go out there and find that stuff. But he's also got an AKG C2 or AKG C24, which is a stereo version of the C12. Oh. And I use that all the time for vocals, and that mic sounds amazing.
Have you ever used a Townsend?
Townsend? Yeah. No, the cloning. They do like the modeling. But I've heard they're badass though.
I've got one of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have to let you listen to it. Yeah.
Dude, we should do a fucking test.
We could do shootouts all day.
Yeah, we should do a shootout with the 251s and then the C12.
I'm down.
And I bet there's a Sony C37A clone in that thing too.
I think there is, but I think it's so I've got all the Townsend mics, which are I want to say like maybe like 20 something mics.
Cool. Yeah.
I think it's close to 30. But then you Bill Putnam, who started Universal Audio.
Right.
He's got a line of clones through the Townsend. It's like his own plugins. And then Ocean Ways has their set of Townsend plugins.
Mic Locker or whatever,
But it's probably that C37A is probably in one of those three, but I can't remember which one.
I mean, it's a pretty... I'd never used one before going to Doug's, but apparently they're like pretty highly regarded.
It blows my mind how good it sounds.
Yeah.
Do you know who his name is Jason Song or something like that. He's NBA Youngboy's like main engineer.
Okay, yeah.
He does, I think, NBA Youngboy and maybe Young Thug or somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
But he says that he uses like when he's on the road, he uses a Twin X and the Townsend.
Yeah.
And he said one time he had to do a mashup because I think NBA Youngboy was doing a song with somebody and he had to like bring over the vocals that were already been recorded or whatever. So
he had to like match it with another mic, basically.
He was trying to match it with the C800.
Word.
And so he used the clone in the Townsend. He used that plug-in.
Yeah.
And he said it sounded basically the same.
Damn. See, that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
Because like, there's some part of it that I'm like, what's this magic?
Yeah.
I don't trust this. But I'm also highly interested in that because like, I don't want to spend $20,000 on a fucking mic.
Yes.
Like, I could use that money in a lot of other ways, dude.
Anything else.
Yeah. I mean, like, god damn, there's a lot of things I could do for myself with $20,000 that would be way more beneficial than owning a fucking microphone.
Yeah.
But that stuff is cool because I do love those tools and I do love the shit that they bring to the table. And I do feel like it is important to match the right mic with the singer.
That was the other company that Universal Audio bought.
Townsend.
Word.
Yeah. So they own Townsend and Bach.
Yeah. So the mic already was perfect for like a Twin X because it's a stereo mic.
Right.
So
right.
That's
right.
Yeah.
There's
you
two
need
inputs.
You need the two inputs
because it's like the front capsule and the back capsule.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Right.
So and then they had the UA plug-in. So it already was a match made in heaven. For them. So they were like, all right, we'll just buy you.
Wow.
And yeah, I had no idea when I found out that UA was coming out with microphones. So they came out with a clone of this. Yeah. It's called the SD1.
Yeah.
And then they came out with the box. And somebody had mentioned, because I was like, UA needs to buy Townsend. And then and I think that Drew from UA, I mentioned this he was like, yeah, we we did.
He's like, we already did that.
Yeah. And then somebody in the chat had mentioned about Bach. Yeah. And I was like, what? Wow. And they were like, yeah, they bought them like 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like, oh my God. But they're making sick, moves. Man. I really hope their next move is either the console thing or speakers. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just because I think they could do cool stuff with it.
Yeah.
If they just come out with some random speakers that are just expensive because it's UA.
Yeah.
That doesn't faze me. Like I'll just go buy, we got Adams downstairs.
Yeah, I really love the way those sound, man.
I'll go get some Adams or I went to what's it called? Vintage King in Nashville.
Yeah.
And I listened to a ton of different speakers. I went there knowing 100%
That you were going to buy some Adams, yeah.
Not Adams, no.
Oh, really?
I went there knowing 100% I was going to love the Neumanns.
Okay,
have you
yeah.
seen the Neumanns? I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to love the Neumanns.
Yeah.
I didn't like them.
Really?
They sounded really dark and weird sounding. I played rock music on them, and I played rap music, and I didn't like either one. But the ones that actually blew me away were the focals. It was a certain type of focals.
Do you remember which one it was?
I don't even remember.
Was it the trios?
It might have been. Are the trios the only ones that have like the tweeter, the high, and then the mid, and then a subwoofer?
They're a three-way that like you can turn on the side, or like they can stand vertically or horizontally, and you can like turn the actual like.
I don't even remember which one it was. I took pictures and videos, so
cool.
I can probably look at it. But
yeah,
they blew me away. I was like, these sound good on rock music. They sound good on rap music. Anything. It just sounded amazing.
I feel like when you can't hear the speaker, that's when you know, like, it's a great. It's a great speaker.
It just sounds flat. Just sounds.
Well, it just sounds like you're not hearing the coloration of the box.
Mm-hmm.
You're not hearing like a weird filter. You're just like immersed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're instantly there and in that shit. And that's how I feel about those Adams. I love the way those Adams sound, man.
Also, have you heard of Head? Or I think it's Head. It's HEDD.
Oh, I have. Yeah. For
so
sure.
When I was at Vintage King, the guy there actually explained it to me.
Yeah.
I was like, these look just like Adams. He was like, well.
Yeah.
So what happened was there was a guy that worked for Adams, and he was like, yeah, we should do this, we should do that. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. He was like, we could really make better speakers if we did this stuff.
Interesting.
And they were like, no.
So he improved on it.
He left Adam and started his own company, and that's what Head is.
No shit.
Yeah.
Are they pretty budgetary friendly?
They are actually, I think, more expensive than Adams.
Word.
But I think they sound way better than Adams.
No
and
shit.
They look exactly the same. They've got that same like ribbon tweeter. Mm-hmm. They're both black with the gold ribbon tweeter.
Front ported and all that,
They sound, I think, better than Adams, and they look very similar. So
didn't know that. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
My buddy John just got some Adams. He was like rocking the Yamahas before the HS8s.
Yeah, that's what I got at home.
Yeah,
HS8s.
And I think they sounded good in the context of his room, but he wasn't happy with them, so he swapped them for the Adams. And now that he's got those in there, I'm like, damn, these actually do sound pretty fucking great, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've been using Cali Ion 8s for a while.
Okay, I've heard those are pretty good.
They're cool, yeah. I really like it for the price. Mm-hmm. But now that I've been at Doug's and I've been using other speakers, I really feel like they, they're still powered speakers, man. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I can hear the box. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a coloration happening going on there, like that I don't hear with NS10s or that I don't hear with larger speakers, softed speakers like JBLs or like Lecture Voice or something like that, or Altex. Like I feel like I can't really hear that shit when and I listen on bigs, but I listen low. You know, but I've never heard ATCs. I've never heard Amphions, so I don't know what those sound like. You know,
I've heard something Osberg. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of those? Mm-hmm. I listened to those at For You Recording, the Made in Memphis.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
They sounded pretty good. They're massive speakers.
Yeah.
And we actually, so Ryan, he was mixing off of the focals. And at one point I asked him, I was like, yo, you should try out the focals.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's what I'm using right now. I was like, oh, snap. I thought he was on the Osbergs.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But he was on the focals.
That's when you know it's really good. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody I've talked to that had certain focals, I don't know what they had.
Yeah.
They said that you literally have to have a sub.
Yeah.
Even the guy at Vintage King was like, yeah, you need a sub with these focals. You have to have
just give it more headroom or something?
I guess they just didn't have like good bass presence in the certain kind of focals. But the ones that I listened to when I was there that I really liked, he was like, yeah, those are way different. Those are fine. Like you don't need a sub for those. Those are great. But other people that I've talked to, I don't know if it's like the 6.5s or what is it called? The alphas.
Yeah.
I can't remember who I talked to who had them, but they were like, yeah, you got to have a sub.
Yeah, I mean, I try to not listen with a sub on.
Yeah.
Like whenever I'm working. I will with NS10s just because they roll off so fast.
Yeah.
But I feel like you get like misinformation through the sub sometimes.
Yeah. It can be misleading.
Mean? It can. It's very hard. And I feel like it's like you're adding a third speaker into the into the equation. So it's kind of like the crossover and the phase cancellation that's happening. It has to be right for it to make sense. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I've mostly been listening. I don't even know what model they are, but they're JBL something or another's over at Doug's, and they're like these softeted. They're like 215 speakers and then a horn.
Okay.
And they sound fucking awesome, dude.
I was listening to a Bobby Owsinski podcast, and the guy that he had on is some magnificent mastering engineer.
Yeah.
And he was like, JBLs. That's what I listen to.
Yeah.
JBLs is always what I've always used, always will use.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because most people are like, barefoots.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like barefoots at all.
I listened to one pair of barefoots at Vintage King and didn't like them.
Yeah.
And then the guy there was like, it's the room.
Yeah.
He was like, you got to have the right room.
That's true. No, that's 100% true because my friend Jeremy Horn has some micro mains or something. Mm-hmm. He's got some kind of speaker. I forget what it's called. And they sound fucking awesome in his room. But I've listened to that same speaker in other rooms and been like, that's a weird. I don't like that, you know?
Me and Ryan went to, what's the name of that studio? It's in Nashville. Gray Box.
Gray Box? I never heard of it, yeah.
You have to check that. I'll show you their Instagram or whatever. But, we went to Gray Box, and the guy there had barefoots, and
just like
sounded beautiful.
Oh, really?
It was magnificent, and I was like, all right, yeah, it was the room. The guy Vintage King was right.
It's totally the room, man.
Yeah,
yeah, because I think my buddy Calvin Lauber has some barefoots now. I forgot. No, maybe he got focals. I think he got focals actually.
I've heard of Calvin's name. Okay, so I don't know if I probably didn't really introduce myself to you, but I'm from Alabama.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I moved here in 2019.
No shit. Okay, cool.
So I'm like low key like stalking everybody. So like when I see somebody and I see them like tag other people in pictures or like mention other people, I'm like, oh, who's this person?
Yeah.
So I've seen Calvin's name. I've seen him in pictures and stuff, but I don't have a clue who he is. So
yeah. So Calvin is he and I ran Young Ave together for a long time prior to the sale, and then we also roped in another person named Blair Davis. He became the studio manager. Okay. Because Calvin and I were kind of like sharing the duties, but it like became too much for just two people. So we were like, we should bring in another person to help like strictly do scheduling.
Okay.
Strictly be the studio manager.
Yeah.
So that he can delegate sessions to us and we can bring in our own shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because
that studio, being a commercial studio, got a lot of people calling in, you know, random hours, like, hey, can I get a 3-hour session for whatever, blah, blah, blah. So, but Calvin, he's a couple years younger than me, but we had like kind of the same trajectory, just like suburban kids who were in bands in high school and beyond. And then that kind of just like turned into production and stuff. But he works with Julian Baker, and he plays with her now too.
Okay.
On the road. And he works at Memphis Magnetic now. He's one of the staff engineers over there.
Nice.
He's a wonderful person, super knowledgeable about a lot of stuff. And also just like overall has fucking phenomenal taste when it comes to like sonic palettes. Okay. You know what I mean? He's a badass. You should definitely interview him.
Okay. Dope.
But yeah, with the speaker shit, man, I mean, and I feel like, I don't know if how much this plays into it. People hear differently.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, the way we interpret noise, everybody's different. So I feel like certain speakers resonate with certain people, and that's kind of the beauty of it, the variety.
Especially if you have tinnitus.
Yeah, no doubt. Dude, no doubt. Okay, so I bought some THCO edibles last night at the fucking spot by the studio last night, and the guy was like, these are pretty heavy duty, man. You know, you might want to, just take one. And I was like, sure, motherfucker. I used to live in California, all right. And then I took two.
So I took two.
I took two, and I was laying on the couch, and I was like watching TV, and all of a sudden I heard this kind of like ringing coming on, and I was like, oh my God, is that tinnitus? I was like, is that going to be all night? I was like, am I not going to be able to fall asleep?
Man.
Yo, it was my refrigerator. I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Oh, man. That's crazy.
It was my refrigerator just making some weird noise. But I thought it was tinnitus.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit, but very, very minimal. I'm so thankful that I now respect the shit out of my hearing.
Yeah.
I used to not.
Yeah.
Like being on tour, I used to stand in front of like a full stack of like speakers and just like play loud as shit.
Yeah.
And now I just like, if it's too much, I will exit the room or like find earplugs or something. Yeah. But I like love silence and like downtime now. I respect the shit out of that.
Yeah. Somebody, they said in a podcast or something I listened to, they were like, yeah, you only get one pair of ears. And I was like, that is true. That is true.
You can't fix them. Once you fuck them up, you can't fix them, dude.
Yeah. That's so like, I hope that's the one thing that cancer, fix ears.
Yeah. Like keep my ears healthy.
Yeah.
Because I will say that, man, like over the pandemic, not going to shows has helped me. Like I feel like I can hear clearer now.
Okay.
Because I'm not constantly being just like barraged by sonic, like excessive volume. I did go to a metal show recently where I was in the crowd and I like was in the back and it sounded cool. Like it sounded fine. It wasn't too loud, but it was kind of like not enough. Like I was like, I think I can move up and fucking like feel it. You know what I mean? So my friend's band started playing and I moved up pretty close. Like kind of like at the apex of like front of house or whatever. And dude, they started playing, and within 3 seconds, I fucking turned around and walked the fuck out of there because my ears were starting to like shake, and I could like feel the pressure and shit. Oh my goodness! And I was like, dude, this is not cool. This is not fucking cool.
Yeah.
So I had to get the fuck out. And then all night, I was just like, dude, did I damage my hearing? Did I damage? Yeah, that's Am I gonna like wake up tomorrow and be like fuzzy in an ear? Yeah. Like I was freaking out, kind of. Turned out to be totally fine. But But I've definitely learned to respect myself and like respect my listening environment because it can be crazy. But hey, back to the listening thing. How was that? That was cool. You said it was like super informative. Listening lab thing.
Oh yeah, you should.
Dude, Jeff is the man. Jeff and Matt are like incredible.
Yeah.
Jeff is like, you should have him on the podcast too, man.
Yeah, I actually introduced myself to both of them and invited them on. I'm glad that I waited so long to actually try. Like, I got my wife scheduled on my podcast. Yeah. So I got her to try to get Matt on a while. Like, I think it was either the end of 2020. I think it was the end of 2020, actually. Yeah. I was thinking it was the end of last year, but I think it was the end of 2020. But they said he was super busy, and I was like, all right, cool, whatever.
Yeah, he's a super busy guy.
There's so many people I want to have on here that are obviously just super busy, like Boo Mitchell and Matt and stuff. But for sure. I don't take no for an answer, but I also respect people who are actually busy and who actually just can't do it. So I'm just like, all right, cool. If it happens, it happens. Totally. So it just so happened that I got an email about the listening. Or no, I saw it on Instagram that they were doing the listening lab. Yeah. And I was like, cool, free, I'm there. Yeah. So I showed up and
network.
Perfect situation. Just introduced myself, shake a hand. Totally. And I was like, hey man, I know Victor Sawyer, and him and Victor are close.
Yeah, totally.
And I watched his Pure Mix and stuff like that. So I was like, just telling him about that. He was like, yeah, I'd love to come on. Yeah. I was like, totally. This is crazy.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome, man. Yeah, Matt is super humble and super nice. Yeah. He's a man. I love what is happening with his studio.
Absolutely.
Like, that is going to be the shit. Have you seen it yet?
I'm not in person.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures, but
Cool.
not in person.
I haven't seen it in its current state, like built out and stuff, but I got the chance to like go in there when they were like still running conduit through the walls and shit. So it was like only the live room had been built out.
Okay.
But I was like, man, this is fucking so cool. This is going to be a world-class studio.
Yeah.
That is like just like purpose built by this man, you know? And it just continues to the legacy of Memphis and like the trademark that we have as a place and a city. So where you're from Alabama? Where are you from in Alabama originally?
I'm in like northeast Alabama, so it's called Aniana is the name of the city.
Yeah.
It's like an hour north of Birmingham.
Okay, cool. Is that near the Shoals?
No, that is probably like...
that's more northwest.
Yeah, it's probably like an hour 30 from where I'm from.
Word. Okay,
Yeah.
Word. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What brought you to Memphis?
Work. I actually work at Owens Corning.
No, you don't. Oh, no shit. Yeah. Okay, cool.
It's I do like automation there. So
Cool. Yeah.
Basically it's like working with like PLCs, computers, robots, stuff
Gotcha.
like that. I know completely different from that.
Yeah, that's cool though.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
But there are some similarities. So like
yeah.
I had to explain to somebody what a high pass filter was because
At
when
work,
when you're working with just like the frequencies of like electricity and stuff like that, you know, drives,
Yeah.
like a drive for a motor.
Yeah.
It works in frequencies. So usually you're going from like 0 to maybe like 60 hertz or something like that. It's just that speed of that motor. It's how fast it's going.
That's the voltage that regulates, right?
Correct.
Yeah, the speed. Yeah.
And then you could put a high pass filter on that, or you could do a low pass, you know, stuff like that.
Interesting.
Or if you're working with like a probe or a gauge, trying to measure like how much materials in a tank, you could do like a low pass, high pass filter with that.
Interesting.
And they were like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Aha!
I know this one.
I know what these things are." So,
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely similarities. I do computer programming, so I work with bits.
Cool.
And so, we deal with, 16, 24, 32. I know what float is because I have to deal with that. And for those of you who don't know, most of the music you're listening to is in like 44.1 kilohertz and 16-bit.
Right.
But there's a thing called 32-bit float. And so float means that you've got more room to play with.
Yeah, more
basically.
headroom, more digital headroom.
And I have to deal with that in computer programming as well.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like they have nothing to do with each other, but at the same time they do.
They definitely do. And that like back to that, like all the equipment that we use in the studio, like literally all that shit was at one point War Machine materials. Like the amplifiers that we use to mic up our or to gain up our microphones, those were used, compressors, those things were used in the war to get like the strongest signals and communications. And like a lot of like there's a lot of similarities between aircraft engineering and electrical audio studio engineering. They share a lot of similarities. So it just it's always funny like to think like, oh, we're using these highly sophisticated operative like mechanisms to just make like dumbass music. Like this was used to probably like, decimate some fucking like whatever. I don't even know. You know what I mean? It was used for something, and here we are just like running a bass guitar through it.
Yeah.
But
dude, I actually have to wrap this up.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
It's been phenomenal talking to you.
Yeah. What time is it right now?
It's like 8:40 something. Yeah, I've got somebody coming in who wants to record. They actually want to learn how to engineer and stuff.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so I thought that'd be kind of fun to teach them that.
Totally, man.
I want to actually end this kind of early so that we can go down and play with some the plugins and stuff.
I'm super down. Yeah.
We actually have a U89 downstairs. So
cool.
I don't know if you've ever used one of those, but
no.
It's different than the 87. I think it's better, but
how is it? Is it like
the SPL, the sound pressure level is higher.
Okay, cool.
The noise floor is lower.
Cool. So it's probably transformerless.
It's like everything's better than the 87, but yet people just, I guess.
It's the same capsule and shit, probably. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I have to look that up.
Interesting. Yeah.
But
yeah, love the U87, yeah.
Give everybody like information about you, how they can find you, if they want to record with you, all that good stuff.
Only hit me up on Instagram. That's the only place you can find me. I don't have Facebook.
Do you have a website?
Nope, I don't have a website. I don't get my phone number out. I don't do any of that shit. If you want to work with me, come find me. I'm at Let's Jump In on Insta. That's it. There's no other way to get in touch with me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Anything you need to promote? You were talking about your friends earlier, all the music they've done. You got some stuff out that you want to...
let me think. Man,
you usually post stuff like when you've mixed it. And...
That's why I say come find me on Insta, because that's kind of like the funnel that everything goes through. Like whenever I'm, something that I've worked on gets released, or whenever I'm hyping somebody up, or just getting the general word out, it's all through that. Like I don't really participate in any other social media. I don't have Snapchat, Twitter. I don't have Facebook. I don't have any of that. I feel like that whole side of the world is a little bit like. It can be toxic and kind of bad for your mental health.
Absolutely.
And, I feel like in the end of it, like Instagram is kind of like the best platform for me to promote my stuff.
Okay.
I feel like it puts me the most connected to my, peers and constituents and potential clients too.
Okay.
And it shows everybody like at like one point of contact. There's photos of what I do, and then within that, I have a link to a Spotify playlist that has. Just a running list of like a bunch of different releases that I've worked on. Whether it's like I recorded it, I mixed it, I mastered it, or all three.
Okay.
And it's all chronological too. So there's no like, favoritism in that. So you can just go on there and listen like by most recently released.
Okay.
And just kind of go down from that point. But on my Insta it has like I think you can get in touch with me on my phone. I think you can call or text through Insta.
Okay.
And I think you can definitely email me through Insta too. But I just tell people to go there because I don't have a website. I don't really like to give out my personal phone number. Just because I'm not the type of person, like, if we're going to work together, we're going to work together in a capacity that comes together naturally and organically. Either somebody's going to refer you to me, or I'm going to meet you in a place that's going to make sense. I don't really fuck with people cold calling me. You know what I mean? That's just not who I am. That's not the engineer that I am. That's not the studio that I run. Eventually, we will get to the point where the studio will have a website, or I've had a website in the past, but it never really did anything for me. And maybe that's just me and my like ignorance of not knowing technology well enough to like, market myself well.
No, different strokes for different folks.
But I just feel like a grassroots effort of like being out there, like going and meeting people, being on the street, and just like
faces.
Yes, like establishing rapport with people is so much more valuable than just like being on the internet. That's important, but I don't want to live on the internet. I like to live in the real life, and that's just me being like a 35-year-old dude. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the cut that I'm from. So, but I do use social media, i.e. Instagram, to still promote and market my stuff too at the same time, because like my Instagram is exclusively the studio stuff. Like I very rarely post any kind of like personal stuff. If I do, it's just like something silly. You know what I mean? It's never anything like heavy. Or like serious about my life. I keep all that pretty private.
Well, all right. Well, again, thank you, man, for coming on.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Everybody, sorry, we're about to go play with music stuff. And,
Hell yeah.
And do some cool stuff. But yeah, I look forward to doing more stuff with you in the future.
Absolutely. Would love to, man, for real. Thank you.
Well, all right. Thank you for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.